A very good morning to Ms. Fatina. Today I would like to present my assignment 2, which is related to the food poverty in Malaysia beyond hunger and income. So basically in this presentation I would cover about another meaning or another meaning for food poverty, and also the factors that plays major role in food poverty, especially among Malaysians. So this would be my outline for my presentation today. I will start by giving a brief introduction about the topic. Then we will move on by discussing various factors of the food poverty. First, I will begin with discussing about the economic factors of food poverty. Then I will discuss about the social cultural factors of food poverty. Next, I will discuss about the environmental factors of food poverty. After that, I will briefly discuss about three major examples of case studies which are related to which has happened in Malaysia. Then I will discuss about or present some of major solution that I have seen. Then I will do some critical analysis based on this topic. Then I will do a brief conclusion. So basically, this will be the outline of today's presentation. Now we will begin with the introduction of food poverty. As we all know, most of us think that food poverty, when the word comes food poverty, most of us think that food poverty is basically about hunger, basically about hungry, or basically about poor, or basically about not enough money. But there's also other side of food poverty. Food poverty is basically about a community or people who can't able to get or can't able to afford food, especially food that are not healthy for their body. In terms of due to their financial problem, due to their financial disabilities, they can't able to get healthy foods which give nutrition, which give vitamins, which give protein to our health. So basically my whole discussion today, I will be discussing about, or I will present about another version or another part of food poverty, which is how people who are financially problem, how they can't able, what are the problems facing by this type of people which are come from middle class or poor grade financial community. So basically I will be discussing about rising social concern that affecting this community, and also I will discuss about multi-dimensional poverty. Basically, food poverty is a part of multi-dimensional poverty. Basically, multi-dimensional poverty is all about, it's not all about money. What all of us will think that food poverty is basically around money. People are poor because they don't have money. Not only money. Multi-dimensional poverty describes that people who don't have enough enough facilities such as accommodation, they don't have enough transportation, they don't have enough education. It's all comes under multidimensional poverty. So food poverty is also part of multidimensional poverty. So basically my presentation today will cover about another side of food poverty, which is why people are not getting nutritious food same as other financial community people. And also I would also will discuss about the major factors that plays a major role in food poverty. So basically this would be my entire presentation will about today. So in summary, food poverty is not just about hunger, it's not just about don't have money. Food poverty is beyond hunger, it's beyond poor. Food poverty is basically about people who can't afford to buy food which are healthy to their body, such as vegetables, fruits, meats, chicken. So due to their financial problem, they skip their meals or they buy cheap food which is not good to their body. So that's all with my introduction. Now we will move on to the next slide. Okay, here I have attached an example of news article here. This news article is about how food poverty is affecting children in Malaysia, especially those from low-income families. So basically, from this news article, what I have understand is, this article explains that many kids don't get enough healthy food, and this leads to serious problems. Okay, so a recent a recent report by UNICEF have stated that over 21% of children under 5 years old, they are classified as stunt, STUNTED. Stunt means they are not growing properly due to their financial problem, due to their poverty. They are not growing their growth. For example, comparing to children, the same 5 years old children who comes from a wealthy family, their growth is good, but comparing to them, children who comes from poor or middle class families, their growth for a 5 years in terms of healthiness, in terms of energy, is not up to the mark. Because the reason is they are suffering from poor nutrition. Due to the food poverty, they can't able to get proper food that a 5-year children should get. For example, a 5-year children should get more protein. Fruits, they should eat more fruits, they should eat more vegetables, meat. But unfortunately, UNICEF reported that 21.9% of Malaysian children under 5 years old their growth are not up to the mark. Their growth are not normal. So it is all summarized that during 5 years old also, children in Malaysia, they have already suffered from various of health issues due to food poverty. So now I will discuss detailedly about some of the major economic factors of food poverty. So I will discuss about 4 major economic factors, which is about low wages, urban dependency, income inequality, and food inflation. First, we will discuss about low wages. Okay, low wages are basically about people that earn just enough to buy basic needs. So, it's probably like even people who have a decent job, they can't able to afford or they can't able to buy some of uh, food items that are very essential to our health. For example, many B40 families in Kuala Lumpur, they earn approximately 2,500 per month. So, after paying a lot of, we all know, staying in Kuala Lumpur is a big tough. It's a big thing because for rent also we have to pay around 1,000. So after paying for rent, phone bills and electric bill, water bills, so a report shows that B40 families, especially B40 families, after paying a lot of expenses, they only have little amount to spend for their food, little amount to spend to buy groceries. So due to little amount, they can't able to buy quality food. Due to little amount, they can't able to buy quality food which has rich proteins, which have rich fiber, which is good to health. So they focus on or they buy cheap. They only afford to buy cheap food items. For example, like instant noodles. We all know Maggi soup, Maggi curry, Maggi cup. So most of the families who can't afford or who don't have enough money to buy quality foods, they go and buy cheaper foods like ready-to-eat foods or instant noodles to survive. So it is automatically when they eat this type of food, especially instant noodles like every month, every day, it is very bad for their health. So low wages plays a major role in food poverty. So next is about urban dependency. Urban dependency means people living in cities, they are most probably relying heavily on supermarkets and restaurants for foods, unlike rural areas. We all know in rural areas, especially in Malay, we call as kampong areas. In kampongs, we all know in every house, outside of the house, our parents or our grandparents will do a small farming from small farm areas. They will grow their own vegetables, fruits like potatoes, like tomatoes, onions, red chili. So they will use that ingredients for their meal. They will cook and eat. But in urban cities, especially in cities like Kuala Lumpur, nowadays we can see currently there are only flats around us, flats, condominiums. So the space also very tight. So we don't have any larger space to do farming, and also especially a living community who lives in people who lives in flats, they can't get any space to do their farming because they are surrounded by flats. Right opposite flat, right side flat, left side flat, behind also flats. So urban dependency plays a major role in food poverty. For example, in Kuala Lumpur, most people live in high-rise flats with no space for gardening. They depend on nearby stores, and if prices goes up or supply is limited, they have no backup. And for example, during the pandemic, we have think about how poor people or middle class people would have survived during the pandemic, because stores, we can't able to go out, stores are closed, supermarkets are closed, people are only depending on food riders. As we all know, now also food riders, their price is way expensive, because exclude the food price, their their the price for their transportation is very high. So do we have imagine how people who are suffered from food poverty, people who are from poor families, how they would have survived during the pandemic, how they have bought food, or how they have used food rider, because food rider that time they earn a lot, and also the prices of food ride was too expensive. So what they do is they struggle, because of most of markets have closed, and automatically they choose alternative, which is a cheap food, which is not healthy food. So next is about income inequality. So income inequality refers to the gap between rich and poor. While some people can afford organic food, we all know now, most of people are becoming veganists, and they prefer to have organic food. Even though organic food is expensive, people are trying to get or trying to eat organic food. But people who comes from poor background, they can't able to eat organic foods, so they can barely afford basic meals. This creates unfair access to healthy food. For example, in cities such as Johor Bahru, we can find luxury supermarkets near to the flats. So next to we can find luxury supermarket next to low cost flats, which is a flat where poor communities stay, but beside that they have lot of luxury supermarkets. But the problem is they can't able to go and purchase that due to their financial problem. So wealthy families buy imported fruits and vegetables, while low income families, they can only afford to buy canned food and leftovers. So this shows how income level affects food choices and health. So what we have to think is, income level of people plays a major role here. So if you have a good income, you are able to get good food, quality food. If your income is low or average, you can't able to get healthy food for your body. So next is food inflation. Food inflation happens when the price of food keeps going up. So this makes it harder for families to buy the same items they used to afford. So even basic groceries such as rice, eggs and cooking oil become more expensive. So for example, in 2003, the price of chicken and vegetables increased by more than 30%. So many families had to reduce portion size or switch to cheaper alternative. So some even skip their meals to save money, especially during festive season. Because of the rise of the food items, people who comes from poor family or people who can't afford food items, they are being forced to skip their meals. So next, I have, this is the sample of statistics of minimum wage in Malaysia since 2018. So according to the statistics, we can see that the wage increased slowly over the years, but there's a noticeable jump in 2005. We can see a pure increase in 2005. This rise means to help workers cope with the higher cost of living, especially with food prices going up. However, even with increase, many families still struggle to afford nutritious food. So the wage may look better at paper, but it is not always enough for food inflation keep rising. We can see on paper, we can see, wow, the minimum wage of Malaysians are rising. 2025, we see how almost 1007. But we just have to think, a minimum wage, minimum salary of 1007 in this economic era, is that enough for them to buy groceries and also other expenses? It's not enough. In paper, it's good, but in reality, food inflation in Malaysia also is a big concern. Next is another graph. It shows about the annual headline inflation. This bar chart shows Malaysia's annual rate. Inflation stayed mostly below 3% except in the years 2011, 2014, 2017 and 2022, where the inflation rate were above 3%. So in 2020, inflation dropped to 1.2. So we all know it's due to the COVID-19 pandemic, economic and also economic impact. Although inflation eased slightly in 2024, prices are still higher than before, especially for food and essentials. So this means even if wages go up, people may still struggle because their money doesn't stretch as far as it used to. In terms of statistics, in terms of data, on paper we can see like, oh, there's no food inflation also okay. Our on paper we are okay, but in reality, food inflation also, food poverty is a big problem that the government have to precisely take actions on it. This is another chart that I have searched. This chart shows how vegetable prices in Pulau Pinang have gone up much more than national average. This is all Harga Purata Nasional is the government price, and here is the Harga Viral, which is dia price, the shop owner's price. Here we can see that, for example, baby sawi and broccoli in Pulau Pinang cost almost double compared to other places. So prices such as 9 ringgit for sawi and 16 ringgit for red chili are very high for poor and middle class families. So this shows how food inflation affects different areas differently. So basically what I want to convey is, we all know the food prices in Malaysia, especially food prices of vegetables, meats, chicken, eggs, are not same in every state or in every area also, in every place also it's different. In KL, it's different. In my hometown Tapa, it might be because of its kind of rural area, I might get chicken in a more cheap price. So different prices of food items is also a very important factor that affects, that impacts the people who are suffering from food poverty. So let's just think, every day food prices are increasing, so people also get confused, especially people who are suffering from food poverty. So they can't able to buy quality food due to the rise of price in the foods. So next I will discuss about the social and cultural factors of food poverty. I will discuss about four major factors, which is hidden hunger, loss of food autonomy, cultural displacement, and emotional psychological impact. So basically, hidden hunger is about some families may have enough food to fill their stomach, but not enough nutrition to stay healthy. So this is called hidden hunger. Especially in Malaysia, most of people, they are capable of buying food. They can buy food, but the problem is they can't afford to buy food which is healthy to their body. They can't. Some people who are suffering from food poverty, they can't able to buy food which is good for their body. So some families may enough food. It happens when people eat cheap food that's high in calories but low in vitamins, such as fast food item, ready to eat meals. So over time, this can lead to serious health problems, especially in children. So for example, in Malaysia, we can see people who are suffering from food poverty, or people who comes from a poor background. We can see that they take lot of rice. They take lot of rice and they just take some dal and they eat. So they are lack of protein. They don't eat protein well, fiber well. So it leads to various kind of health issues. So next is loss of food autonomy. So basically, food autonomy refers to a person or community's ability to make independent, informed, and culturally meaningful choices about what they eat. Food poverty takes away people's freedom to choose what they eat. When money is tight, families can't afford fresh ingredients or traditional meals, or they can't afford to buy what they like. So loss of food autonomy, they are forced to buy food that they don't like. What they can do, they don't have money, they don't have enough money to buy. So people from food poverty, suffering from food poverty, they are forced to buy food which contains of less nutrition, which contains of less vitamins. So next is cultural replacement through food. When people stop cooking traditional dishes, they lost part of their identity. So cultural food such as, for example, such as rendang or kueh connects families and communities. Unfortunately, when those food items disappear from daily life, it weakens cultural pride and breaks the link between generations. So, cultural replacement also plays a major role in food poverty. So, next is emotional and psychological impact. Food poverty is not just about health issues. Food poverty is not just affects our body, it affects our mind, it affects our mental also. Especially children, students who are studying in school. Just imagine, without getting proper food, they might psychologically affect, like they maybe in just like 10 years, 12 years children also, they are easily get into stress. So food poverty not only leads to health issues, it also affects our psychological, it also gives various types of psychological impact, especially for children. So next I will discuss about three major environmental factors of food poverty. First is urbanization. So urbanization refers to more people are moving into cities, but not everyone benefits equally. We now let's take Kuala Lumpur. Kuala Lumpur, who are living in Kuala Lumpur, we all called as city people. But is that all of us are, our life status is equal? No. In Kuala Lumpur, there are also wealthy people living. In the same Kuala Lumpur, there are also poor people who are suffering from food poverty. They are also living. So, in fast-growing urban areas, low-income families often live in crowded flats with limited access to fresh food. So they rely on nearby convenience stores that sell packed snacks instead of healthy option. So we all know in most of people, poor people, they all lived in flats, in overcrowded flats. For example, in PPR Lembah Subang, Petaling Jaya, low-income families struggle to buy fresh food. So even though they live in the city, high prices and transport costs force them to rely on cheap and unhealthy meals such as fried rice, fried noodles, nasi lemak. This shows that urban poverty makes healthy eating difficult. Living in city also makes people difficult to afford good quality of food. So next is about climate change. Climate change also plays a major role in food poverty. Climate change affects how food is grown, stored and distributed. Extreme weather such as floods, droughts and heat waves damages crops and reduces food supply. So this leads to higher prices and less availability of fresh produce. And for example, in Kedah, rice farmers are facing unpredictable rainfall and dry spells. Their harvests are shrinking, which means less rice is available and prices goes up. When we all know a basic economy, when a food item is going reduced, the price of the food item will be boom up, will be rise. So this affects both rural farmers and also urban consumers, especially those with low income who depend on affordable staples. So which means the sudden rises in price of food affects the people who are in low income, who are suffering from food poverty. So next is food desert. A food desert is an area where people can't easily find fresh or affordable food. So these places often have lots of fast food outlets and convenience store, but very few supermarkets or wet market. People living in food deserts are trapped in unhealthy food environments. So it's basically about people in food deserts. They can't able to choose healthy foods. They are surrounded by unhealthy foods, fast foods on. So for example, at University Science Malaysia USM, a recent study found that students living off campus have limited access to fresh groceries. So they mainly relied on instant noodles and snacks because there were no nearby markets. So this shows even educated people, even students are facing food inflation or food poverty. So food poverty is basically, it can affect even you are the educated person, even you are an uneducated person. So food poverty is basically due to the situation, due to our situation. So next, we move on to the next topic, which is case studies on food poverty. Here, I will briefly discuss about 3 case studies that I have searched. The first one is related to the urban food affordability crisis in Kuala Lumpur. Basically, in Kuala Lumpur, many low-income families struggle to afford nutritious food, even though prices are lower than global averages. So the problem isn't availability, it's affordability. So a study found that needs nearly an hour of work just to buy 1 liter of milk. So due to low wages and rising costs, families often rely on instant noodles and fried food, leading to poor nutrition and health problems. So my second case study is about climate change impact on rice farmers in Kedah. This is regarding, I have already explained in my last slide, which is in Kedah, farmers, they suffers from climate change. So then is food desert mapping at University Science Malaysia. A study at USM used food desert mapping to find areas on campus where students lack access to fresh food. So it showed that food banks were not enough and poorly located. So many students rely on cheap, unhealthy meals due to limited option. So a study has conducted in USM by USM student. Through the study, they have found that there are not so many facilities are organized. For example, like they don't have proper food bank. So to help the students who are from poor background. So it leads to poor accessible. So it leads to the student to choose unhealthy meals due to their limited options. So the research suggested that better food bank planning and support to fight hidden hunger among students. So we all know in universities, not all students comes from wealthy family. There are also students who come from middle class or poor family background. So do we have think how they would have survived? So through this study, the USM students come up to a solution that the USM have to come up or have to launch many food banks to help the students to at least they can afford to eat good quality of food to remain healthy. So next, these are some of my proposed solution. First is strengthen community-based food banks. Food banks are still in implementation in Malaysia, but how effective it is. So another thing that we have to think about is food banks. The purpose of food banks is to provide food for the people who comes from poor background. But here in reality, we all know if there is a food bank, all will come and grab. So strengthen community-based food banks plays a major role. Next, promote urban agriculture and rooftop farming, especially in city areas, in city like Kuala Lumpur, filled with flats, condominiums. Rooftop farming will be a very essential concept, especially in community, in flats areas, in flat community. The residents all, they can come up, they can work in a group, and they can do community farming in their rooftop. So next is implementation of nutrition education in schools and communities. This is very important, especially in schools, in primary schools. Government has to take initiative to do more campaign about nutritional values, explain about the importance of eating or choosing healthy foods. So next is introduce targeted food subsidies for B40 olds. Even though we have subsidies for some food items, but still the government can subsidize some many groceries item in order to help the B40 households community. They can buy food. I don't know, madam, know or not. I think recently, this week, a minister has, during the speech, a minister have told that the 100 ringgit that government give is very useful for the people, especially for the old people. She said, old people can survive with that 100 for 1 month. What logic is this? I don't know. As she can survive with 100 ringgit for 1 month, we don't know. So ministers today in our government, they don't know the reality facing by our people, especially people who comes from middle class and poor background. She just say that old people, they can survive with 100 ringgit in 1 month. For 1 month they can survive. How? And she said like she knows a couple, 2 people, they are surviving with 100 ringgit for 1 month. How is it possible? No way. Even in a kampung, even in rural area, people now in this current economical situation can't able to survive with just 100 ringgit in 1 month. So next is develop a national food poverty monitoring system. So government have to monitor the system and respond faster to allocate resources effectively. So next is critical analysis. So even though our Malaysian government has come up with so much of government subsidies, government programs such as My Kasih, Rancangan Makanan Tamaan RMT. I still remember during my school days also RMT is already implemented. RMT is basically about they will give free food to the students who are from B40 or who are very poor family. So, so I studied in Tamil school during my primary school. I have uh, I have seen my friends who have involved in RMT. They get RMT. So Sumbangan Asas from, as we all know, National Food Security Policy. This is all are the strengths of government. Government has also, we can't say that government has not done anything. Government also have implemented lot of policies, lots of subsidies, lot of programs, but it's not enough. Weakness is fragmented implementation, outdated poverty metrics, lack of integration between ministries and limited data on food dignity. As I said earlier, government, this is just my point of view, government, especially the ministers and also Prime Minister, I feel that they don't know the reality. They are still believe that people are happy, people can live with 100 ringgit, people can happily live with 2,000 ringgit monthly salary. If they are capable to live with 2,000 ringgit as per month, if I give our Prime Minister 2,000 ringgit per month, is it possible for Prime Minister to live with just 2,000 ringgit in KL? No way. So what I am what I have critically analyzed is government should come and see the reality. They should do research, current research. They have to do new researches based related to this food poverty, and they should come up with really effective and reasonable programs, or also reasonable initiatives to help these people. So next is conclusion. So on the whole, I have discussed about the major factors in terms of social, in terms of economy, in terms of environmental, which plays a major role, which leads to food poverty. So food poverty shaped by income gaps, cultural loss, and also climate threats. So current policies or current actions by government is not up to the mark or not enough to overcome this food poverty. We can say that we are a developing country. As Madam know, this is my first time I come to KL. When I see the buildings, I feel like, wow, it's like Japan, it's like China, all tall buildings. But still, there are also people who are suffering from food poverty, who can't able to get food like we have. So we can, if I after this class, if I, for example, after this class, if I want to eat KFC, I can eat KFC because I got money. With God's grace, I have a good parents. But how about people who are suffering, who are from poor background or from middle class family? They can't able to choose what they want to eat. So the big problem is, it is very sad to say that people can't able to eat food that they like, that they want. This is a big problem. So government has to take initiative for this problem. So on the whole, what I would like to convey is, food poverty is not about just hunger, it's not about just not enough money to buy, it's about choosing healthy foods. If people can choose healthy foods, they can be healthy and Malaysia will be having healthy people, and we can move forward in upcoming 50 years. We can confidently move forward to become developed countries like Japan, like China. So that is all from me. Thank you very much.